All right. Okay, so there's a few of you. I know Jessica, for instance, is in here that I've used this reference or this phrase with a handful of times, and it's kind of what inspired me for tonight's training. But before we get started, like Matt said, I don't ever want it to be a lecture. Like, it's no fun to just sit here and talk to myself in a recording. So please be responsive, ask questions. If you got them, chime in. I'll ask questions. When I ask questions, answer them, those types of things. Just make it a fun learning environment. And tonight we're going to talk about the phrase or the idea called eat the frog. And essentially, if you've never heard of it, what it's about is tackling productivity, talking about the motivation and disciplines, and then also ultimately being more successful in your business, in your life, and everything that you do. And so I got a little background noise. Someone might mute themselves there just before we get too far into it.
Sorry, that was me. Hold on.
Oh, you're good. Come on, Desi. Anyways, so with that being said, okay, eat the frog. It's a phrase or term that's used often when we're talking about productivity or things like that. And it originated, real quick, little history, from Mark Twain. Okay, he originally said, "Eat a live frog first thing in the morning, and nothing else could go worse in your day," basically. And obviously, that's not totally true. But what he's trying to get at, right, is that if you woke up every morning and ate a live frog, that'd be a pretty shitty start to your day. And essentially everything else can hopefully only go up from there, right? And then there's a business mindset that came to this, and a motivational mindset, who's Brian Tracy. He's an author of a book that I'll show you guys later. But he talks about focusing on the ugliest frog. And you can look him up. He's a self-developmental author. He does a bunch of courses and stuff like that. He's written over like 80 books. But when he's talking about tackling the ugliest frog, he's talking about taking your most daunting task or, the thing that you look forward to least about your day that is kind of weighing on you, causing anxiety, those types of things, and tackling it right away, right? It should be your main priority, because if you can knock that out, you have just made yourself more productive in your day. You've taken the thing that you're dreading the most, that you're putting off, and now you've tackled it first thing. So everything else is just going to seem easier. You're going to be more motivated to do them. So it kind of touches a lot on the differences between motivation and discipline, right? I reference this a lot, but motivation will come and go, and discipline is what keeps you on track, right? You're not always going to be motivated to work out, but if you're disciplined, you'll do it anyways. And so that's a lot of what this eat the frog concept kind of comes behind. And it's all essentially a way to continue to make you more and more productive and have more control of your time. So the frog, I kind of talked about it, but before I jump into it, metaphorically, who can give me kind of an idea or tell me kind of what I'm talking about when I'm referencing the frog, metaphorically speaking? Someone.
Maybe something that you don't want to do.
Yes, exactly. So when we talk about the frog, right, I'm going to show you here. Essentially, it's any task. It can be any task, right? But it's typically something that you procrastinate. You typically would procrastinate on or save to the end of the day or another day, or something that you're regularly putting off. But with those tasks, it's usually something that's either extremely difficult, extremely important, or as Brian Tracy talks about, it's either one or the other or both. So difficult and important. So frogs, as I dive through this, frogs should be something that you don't necessarily want to do, but you need to do. And I'll talk about some examples here, but before I do that, give me some examples of what you guys think a frog can be in your everyday life.
Like when you tell me to get up before work and work out or walk.
Yes, there's one. Who else has got some? What's something in your guys' regular everyday life that you're not necessarily motivated to do, but you need to do anyways.
Going to my
Running.
emails.
Whoa, I got two there. Slow down.
Laundry.
Sarah, laundry. Okay. Who else?
Going
Running.
through emails.
Yes, emails. It doesn't always have to be exercise related or a workout or health related, right? Laundry is not one of those things. Sending emails isn't, right? There's a lot of, whoops, why is that up there? There's a lot of options when we talk about this. When we do talk about health related frogs per se, yes, it's getting to the gym and sometimes primarily getting there early in the morning. It's meal prepping, right? Taking some time to eat the frog and do some meal prep and get it out of your way, because it is going to ultimately save you more time. It's a discipline that needs to be done or should be done if you want to be more and more successful. Your meditation that we talk about, right? Doing that first thing in the morning or right before you go to bed. That's another form. Your spreadsheets, right? All your coaches are asking you for spreadsheets. That is a form, that's a discipline. And it makes you much, much more successful in this program when you're doing your spreadsheets. So these are all examples in the body ops realm and the health realm of what eating the frog can look like. And obviously there's more outside of that, right? There we go. There's working out in the morning, like I talked about. There's projects at work, there's sending emails, there's tasks that you want to do at home, right? These can all be for frog, for instance. But again, it's typically something that you try and put off or that you try and procrastinate. It's just a lazy way of thinking, essentially. So something that I like to mention too is, when you're deciding if something is like, if this is something that's daunting or something that I'm trying to put off, if you're trying to decide whether or not it's what you would consider a frog, typically, if it's something you want to do, right, it's going to get done. So that's why we talk about, when I'm back here, a frog is something typically that you don't necessarily want to do, but you need to do. If you wanted to do it, it's typically going to get done. For example, right, most of you guys want to work out, but you don't want to work out early in the morning, right? So there's where the frog comes in. It's also like if you're comparing, you're going to make more time if you've made a plan to go to the zoo than you are to go to the gym, right? So if you can eat the frog and prioritize those times, you're going to rank one over the other. You're going to get to the gym early in the morning. You're going to do some of those things. So when we talk about,
can I add
go ahead.
something to this, Walker?
Yeah,
So another thing is, you guys, we always say like set yourself up for success the night before, right? And that means like plugging your food in the night before. And I mean, I'm not sure how many of you guys do it, but my guess is that a lot of you are not doing it. Yeah, I know Walker does. But kind of like what you're saying, you're willing to spend the time at the zoo, but you're not willing to meal prep, right? What I see is like you're willing to sit in front of the TV for an hour before you go to bed, or play on Facebook for an hour before you go to bed, but you're not willing to spend even 10 minutes of that putting your food in for the next day, right? So you got to take that perspective of like, okay, where am I not utilizing my time as effective as I could be? And that's okay. I'm not demonizing watching TV or scrolling on your phone. We all do it. But when you say, I didn't do that because I didn't have enough time, yes, you did. You just didn't create that time for you because it wasn't enough of a priority for you. So like, if you can take anything away from what I just said, if you can plug your food in the night before, you're going to be substantially more successful with the routines in your day and knowing what's coming forward, as opposed to flying off the seat of your pants.
yep. And actually in like 2 slides, I talk a lot about setting yourself up for success, both with your nightly routine and your morning routine, as far as this eat the frog concept goes. So when we're talking about eating the frog, right, and how to do it, the biggest thing is, and the number 1 rule that this Brian Tracy talks about is actually, it needs to be something that's done in the morning. It's the first thing that you do. It's part of your morning routine. So when you have something that you're really dreading, I heard laundry earlier, right? Instead of, it doesn't take that long to go throw it in the washer and at least get it started. That can be the very first thing you're doing in your morning, right? Before you go do anything else. So a critical part of of tackling this concept of eating the frog is doing it as part of your morning routine. It needs to be something that's done as a main priority. It's the first thing that you do in your day. On top of that, on top of being done first thing in the morning, he actually goes as far to say that it's something that you shouldn't focus on another task or start another task until that frog is completed. So whatever your most daunting task is, if it really is just doing the laundry for the day, then wake up right away, walk down, get your laundry started, right? And essentially you've started on that frog, right? And you shouldn't really work to start or focus on another task until that point. Oh, just a second. Hey, would you guys mute yourself?
William White, mute yourself, please. I got it. Okay.
All right, cool. So again, first thing in the morning, and on top of that, right, it's something that when you start this task, you should not move on to another one until you've finished it. Then the rest of your day, you can multitask and do other things, but you want to pick your biggest burden, your biggest task of the day, and completely finish it outright. If it's something that's longer, you're working on a work project, same thing, right? If it's going to take you 3 or 4 hours, sit down and do it, because you're going to feel so much better about your productivity and the way that your day went, instead of piecing together an entire 12-hour day to complete that project than if you just sat down and got it done in 3 or 4 hours. And so with that, I want to talk a little bit about a little exercise that I want you guys to do. Okay, so whether it's your phone, if you have a pen and paper around you, all I want you to do is I'm going to give you like 60 seconds, but I want you to write down like 3 to 5 things. It can be more, I guess a minimum of like 3 things that you want to complete tomorrow, like tasks that you have set out that you want to complete tomorrow. It could literally be as simple as like sending an email to somebody, or it could be, you know, if you have a deadline for work or something like that. But I'm going to give you like 60 seconds here of silence to write down a couple things. Eric, Matt, you guys do this as well, even if you just throw it in your notes in your phone, and then we'll work from there. So, all right, go ahead and start. And what I'm essentially doing here is I'm going to try and show you guys, you know, obviously we have multiple tasks that we're trying to complete or things like that in a day. And if you're not sure what one to start with or anything like that, that's essentially what I'm going to try and tackle right here. So about another, I don't know, 30, 40 seconds here. And then I'm going to make you share just a couple of them. All right, throw down one more, and then I'm gonna open up the board. So if you've got a couple, share, even if it's, you don't have to share all of them, but you can share a couple of them. But a few of you guys feel free to open up. Otherwise, I guess I can call on you guys too. But anybody, what we got?
Build a marketing plan for the
Okay,
business.
who was that? Was that Josh?
Yeah.
All right, build a marketing plan. Okay. Now, obviously, that's a pretty big task. So how long do you think it'll take you?
About a week.
Okay, yep. So who else? What else we got that we're doing tomorrow that you're trying to knock out tomorrow? Angela, what do you got?
I got to finalize 15 client treatment plans.
All right. What about Angela?
For me, I put payroll and workout.
Perfect. Love it. Emily, what do you got? I know I just watched you shove food in your mouth, so I'm sorry I did that to you.
Go for a run tomorrow and clean the kitchen.
Perfect. Let's get a couple more here. Dane, what do you got?
Workout and fill my protein goal.
All right, Bama.
I definitely want to work out again, and I have to go to the frame shop to fix a frame that dropped off the wall and the glass shattered.
All right, see, for those of you, she's talking about working out again. She had COVID and got her ass kicked for like 2 weeks. So All right, let's do one more. Who am I calling? Maurice, I haven't heard from you yet this evening.
Finished getting ready for a big event this week and finished working on projects at work.
All right. I would challenge you to even be a little more specific as now, obviously this was a really quick activity, but to be even more specific as far as what you're trying to achieve, like with projects, like whatever the specific project is or something like that. But anyways, so Brian Tracy, he talks about the ABCDE method. And obviously you guys don't need to follow this to a T, but it's just a really good way of kind of visualizing your tasks at hand. And so essentially what he would then ask you is to label each one of those things that you put down as a task for doing tomorrow as an A, B, C, D, or E. And essentially what you're doing is if it's an A, it's your most important task. It's the number one thing that you need to accomplish. If you don't, right, there's going to be a pretty big consequence with it. Maybe it's a deadline for work, right? You're going to get your ass chewed by your boss. Maybe it's, you know, something that you said you were going to do for your wife and you didn't. She's going to be mad, right? There's some kind of consequence that follows with it. A B would be your next most important task, right? Kind of as you're looking at a 1 to a 2. Still may carry a consequence, but it's a lot lighter. And I'll give you guys some examples here in a second of what my personal day looked like today. A C is something that you could do. It's more like if you got it done, you'd be happy that it's done, but there's not really harm in it not getting done. And a D, he always says can be something that could be delegated elsewhere. So if it's something that, you know, between you and your spouse, something that you could potentially pawn off to them or to a coworker, if it's in their department and you somehow got stuck with it, right? Being able to delegate some of your tasks as well, because what that does is it frees up more time for the frog that you're trying to achieve or trying to finish. And then typically you probably won't have many of these on there, but sometimes what you'll notice is when you make out a big list, there's some that are E's, which you threw it down there and you realized, all right, this actually wasn't something that's really that important on a day-by-day basis, right? It's not really that important for tomorrow. So you can eliminate it for that day. Maybe it finds its way back on your list in the next day or two. And so with that, in a couple slides, I'm going to kind of show you what my days typically look like. I'm not saying when you make these lists that you need to do A, B, C, D, E, but you should have a framework in your mind that when you are creating a list of things that you want to get done, tasks that you want to achieve, first of all, you should be making a list, because then it's taking the thought out of your brain, having it on paper, and it's something that's tangible and that you can read. But you don't need to necessarily put A, B, C's, and D's unless you like seeing that, unless you like the analytical side of things. Otherwise, make that mental note of what is the most daunting, what's the most important thing that you need to achieve, and you need to tackle that, right, first thing in the morning, like we talked about. So with part of that, I want to talk a little bit about how we can make yourself more successful in your productivity and achieving filling tasks and things like that. And like Matt was talking earlier, okay, morning habits are probably the most important thing you can establish as far as making yourself more productive, more successful. Don't get me wrong, I don't think there's anybody on here that loves waking up at like 5 in the morning. And if you do, you might be crazy. You might be a little psycho. I saw Greg raise his hand, right? He's got a loose screw in there, but four loose screws. Okay, but you will find so much more productivity in your day if you can set aside time before everybody else is moving, before your day really starts, right? All of us have something in our day that kind of starts our day. For instance, for me, I have to take my daughter to daycare at 7 in the morning, right? So at 7 in the morning, I'm no longer in the house. There's nothing I can do at that time. That kind of is what kickstarts my order in my day. So what I've been doing lately is I will wake up at 5. I take about 30 minutes to get myself awake. I do a little meditating. I'll check my spreadsheet. And then I have a task that I'm trying to fulfill before that 7 o'clock time. Okay. With that, I'm not saying you all need to wake up at 5. Okay. Or you need to wake up at 4:30 or anything like that. But I would challenge you to find yourself and wake yourself up a little bit earlier and earlier each day. I think you'll find that there's a lot more time. And as humans, we're more productive in the morning than we are in the evening. The longer we're awake and the longer our day goes on, the less and less productive we typically get. So with these morning habits, right, and when we're relating this to eating the frog and tackling the most daunting thing of the day, really it should be wake up a little bit earlier than normal, get some water in you, right? It's a healthy start to our day. Review the task list that you wrote for yourself the night before and eat the frog. Pick the biggest thing on there that needs to be done and start tackling it, right? Before you get to any other part of your day. If it's something work related, right? Be to work right on time, be there early, be there 15 minutes early, get started on whatever the project is, whatever it is that you're doing right away. If you say that your main task, right, that A, something that you labeled it as an A, was to get your workout in for the day, but you're planning on taking my daughter to daycare, hopefully you're not taking her, I'm taking her, but taking your kid to school, doing something else in the morning, then you're technically not by the book eating the frog, right? May sound a little harsh, right? But drop that excuse and just get up a little earlier. Knock your workout out first thing in the morning before you do anything else and see what happens to your productivity. I know Kyle works out every morning because I've been getting it from him every morning. So if you didn't work out in the morning, Kyle, do you feel like your day would be disrupted? Like you would be far less productive, far less energy, all those things, right?
Oh yeah, I'd be very like fatigued and almost like my mood would be off.
Yeah, I know it's easier said than done, but a lot of people that, and I'm sure E can attest for this as well, people that we work with, when they start to make that change, first of all, just finding a regular habit with exercise, you feel much better, right? You have more energy, even though it seems counterintuitive because you should be exhausted from a workout, right? But then if you can start to shift that to the early morning, it carries through in everything that you're doing in your day. Carries into your productivity at your work life, carries into the productivity you have at your house, whether it's cleaning the house, doing the laundry, dishes, all those things. So a really easy example is always trying to knock out your workout first thing in the morning. If that doesn't work, right, then hit it in the evening or whatever it is, but find whatever task it is that you're going to try and tackle in the earlier part of the day. Setting yourself up for success as far as the morning goes, the best thing you can do is creating a healthy nighttime habit as well, right? A pre-bed routine. And just a couple major things that you should be doing if you are trying to take advantage of eating the frog and being productive with your day is when you go lay down, your bedroom should be a place of sleep, not a place to hang out and watch TV and everything else, right? Watch that in the living room. When you go to your bedroom, it should be dark. You should put your phone away, right? Take a notebook, piece of paper with you and a pen, right? Create your task list for the next day. Jot down 3 to 5 things. Take 60 seconds to jot down 3 to 5 things that you want to try and tackle for the day, right? Make that mental note of what's going to be the first thing that you do when you wake up the next morning, right? Do your meditation and create a good sleeping environment. So keep your room dark, do a couple things that help set the mood for sleep, right? Take a cold shower, get your room cold. Simple things like if you struggle to wake up in the morning and you're trying to make this a habit, I challenge you to plug your phone in not next to your bed. Plug it in across the room so that you have to actually get out of bed to go turn it off, right? You'll get up and at that point you're up, okay? And then it's just the small battle with yourself to not crawl back into bed. But it's a lot better than laying in bed, shutting it off, and having to tell yourself to get out of bed. And then we talked about it a long time.
I want to tell everybody that's what I literally do every morning. I'm up at 5 every morning, and it's not because I'm super disciplined. It's because of that one little hack right there. I physically make myself get up to shut my alarm, and I purposely go back to bed when I hit it. So I hit it, I get back in bed. My wife thinks I'm crazy. She's like, why don't you just get up? Like, no, let me enjoy this little 5 minutes, right? Because even that's that psychological switch, I know that second alarm's coming, so I never even really go back to sleep, but I do want to get back in bed and kind of prepare myself to get back up. It worked for me. It might not work for everybody, but I promise you, getting up and getting your alarm shut off, will work. Whether it's the first time or the third or fourth time, you're gonna get tired of getting up and you're gonna go, what the hell am I doing? I'm up. And the problem is we can't do that when our alarm's on our phone. And I guarantee almost about 90% of you have your alarm on your phone. And that is killing you as far as getting up. Maybe some of you just get up, cool. Like if you can do that, awesome. But like go out, go buy one of those little shitty old school alarm clocks that are annoying as hell and set that thing across the room from you. And I promise you, you'll start getting up.
Another thing you can do is to add to that, put your alarm where you got to get up to go get it, but turn the lights on right away.
Yeah.
Nobody
That-
hit the light right
Stimulate
away.
your brain.
Yep. Turn the light away. And then every room you got to go in, turn the light on. Unless you're in a situation where you got a husband or a wife, leave the room and turn the light on.
Go to the bathroom and turn the light on.
Bathroom is sitting there with the light on. You'll wake up real quick.
Yep. I'll talk about it here in a second, but for me, I come out of our main bedroom, there's the bathroom, and then there's the kitchen. And when I go to bed at night on the weekdays, I leave my laptop on the kitchen table, and I'll come out right away and I'll flip up my laptop and turn the light on of my laptop, right? Turn on my laptop and flip the light on in our kitchen. And I don't even start doing anything on my laptop yet. I know that's what I'm going to do. I have some work tasks coming up, but that stimulation to your brain, right, gets you awake. Give yourself a couple minutes and you'll be there. The biggest thing is just not hunkering down and staying in your bed, right? Because they're like myself. Now, this is the difference between me and Matt, is if I set my alarm across the room, if I get up and I grab it, shut it off and go lay back down in bed, I'll go back to sleep. And if it goes off again, I'll likely shut it off. And if I go back to bed and get back in my bed, I'm not getting back up, right? So for me, it's something that I personally, when I get up, I have to stay up. Like if I set my alarm across the room, and when I wake up, now mine's still on my phone, but I put my phone way away from me, and it also helps me fall asleep because then I'm not trying to scroll through my phone while I'm laying in bed, right? But put it across your room, and when I get up, like Eric said, I'll come by and I'll flip on the lights to my bathroom, go to the bathroom, and I go straight to the kitchen, right? Avoid my bed because my bed is for sleeping for me. So those are just some things that you can take into consideration if you are trying to make yourself more productive. Find yourself getting up in the morning. Greg, you said you wake up like 5 a.m. every morning. What do you do? Or are you just someone that's easy and get up right away?
Just get up. I'm up at 4 every day.
Oh man.
And so yeah, I gotta get out and work out, but the earlier I get up, the earlier I can get to work, right? So.
Yep, and the earlier you're off, hopefully.
Not doesn't
Not
have
that
like
luxury. Dang.
But I mean, it's all about making time.
Yep. And that's really what this whole concept, this whole lecture tonight is about. Is if you can take advantage of tackling the biggest tasks you have at hand, the things that you put off or the things that you try and piece together all day that need to be done, right? You will start to take control of your time and be able to prioritize your time so much better by making a few lists of things that you want to do, the things that you want to tackle and achieve. And really with circling back to our nighttime routine, you're only doing yourself a favor if you know that you want to get up early every day and try and make that a routine. It's not going to happen if you have a really poor sleep schedule or a nightly routine, right? If you you can kind of push through it after one night's bad sleep or maybe two, but if every single day you're having inconsistent sleep patterns, you're falling asleep at midnight one night and 7 the next, right? Because you're so tired, it's going to affect you and it's going to limit your motivation to want to get up early and do those things. So make both a morning and a nighttime routine a ritual, as we say. So that little scribbling up there is literally what I wrote down last night. And this is just a personal example of what I've done. And really, I just started doing this, like actually implementing it in my own life 4 or 5 weeks ago. I was telling some of our clients, eat the frog, talking about what the phrase meant, and obviously didn't want to be the person who didn't practice what we preach. So I started waking up at 5 a.m. I started putting my alarm on the other side of my room, which is my phone. And the only other thing I did really was write down a list of some of the things that I want to get done. Some days it's literally one or two things, but one of those is very important, right? Maybe it's a more free day, but I know if spreadsheets is the top of my priority that day and it's I'm going to have my spreadsheets done at 5 or 6 in the morning. If it's not, right, they might come a little bit later in the day. So literally yesterday, right, I wrote out this list. You can see it. I had to make a reservation for a rental car. I wanted to finish creating this presentation, do some stuff for my daughter's social security card, go to the gym, spreadsheet reviews, and I have wrestling practice every Tuesday, Thursday. Now, I only wrote the ABCs on there today for the sake of this. I don't normally do that, but I knew waking up that the first thing I was going to start working on today was my presentation, and I did. I had it done before me, Matt, and Eric got on our work call today. So it's. Somebody say something? Oh, okay. I'm gonna say so. It was, and from there on, everything else has went smoothly today, right? But it's taking the time and setting aside the time to do what's most daunting for you. And with that, this may hit home for little people. I don't mean for it to offend anybody, but this is probably the heart-wrenching part to all this Eat the Frog. And you have to create that change for yourself. If you're unhappy with something, right now, you really are, for the most part, usually responsible for fixing that. And sometimes that can come with doing something like this. As silly as it sounds, as many times as you heard me say, eat the frog tonight, right? It's something that truly can make a big impact and a big difference on the way your productivity in your life, your feeling of success in your own life, right? If you're depressed, if you're stressed, if you feel like you're lazy or like you've been lazy, right? Productivity, it sparks a sense of achievement for everybody. It's something that when you have a really productive day, you feel good about your day, right? But in order to do that, you have to make an action plan, right? You have to write things out and make a plan for what you're going to do. And you also have to put in an effort. People can't do the work for you, right? As us coaches, as body ops coaches, we're here to give you a blueprint and help show you how to do all the X's and O's, right? To make you successful in your health journey and life. But we can't do it for you, right? It still comes back to, we're trying to teach you how, but you have to execute. And one thing that hits home for me is a lot of people always say they don't have time. And Matt mentioned this earlier. And I don't mean to sound harsh, but the people that usually say they don't have time are refusing to make or prioritize that time, or don't understand that they could be prioritizing their time much better. So with that being said, I'll step off my soapbox, okay? But just something there to really think about. And if that hit home for you, or you felt a little tacked or triggered by that, right? Just consider what I'm saying. With that being said, right, this whole presentation has basically come off of the book called Eat That Frog. It's by Brian Tracy. I mentioned him a lot, but in this book, he goes in way more depth about how to spark that productivity and ways to get you out of procrastinating and things like that. So if you find in your own personal life that you're a little unsatisfied with your productivity, or you feel like you could be stepping that up, I'd absolutely recommend reading it. It's basically a way to let go of your excuses, right? Make better use of your time. And with that, that means you have more freedom, right? You have more timely freedom, more time to do things, right? Teaches you how to prioritize your tasks and ultimately get more done. So hopefully you guys can take something away from that. You're at least a little motivated to step away and start making some lists, start making some setting out some tasks that you want to achieve for yourself. And now you can go and execute. So with that being said, this is the point in the call where, or in the Zoom live here, where we can open up and ask, you guys can ask any questions you want. It doesn't have to be about tonight's topic. If you have something about tonight's topic, do it. If you have questions, I know we got quite a few new people in here as well. If you guys have questions about the program, macros, or anything health related, or anything under the sun, now's the chance, because otherwise we usually run off topic and we're talking about something that's not related at all. So what do you guys got? Any questions?
Hey, Walker, can you unshare so we can see everybody?
Oh yeah, that'd be nice, huh?
There we go. Appreciate it. Cool. Who's got questions, guys? Something cool that I just found out about that everybody else probably already knows about is this little smiley face in the right corner. You can actually raise your hand, like I just did right there. So, I mean, you can blur it out. We're used to just blurring it out, but if you want to raise our hands and be politically
formal.
correct, yeah, formal, we can raise our hand like good little students, I guess. Nobody?
I got something.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So we're all elites here, and I love this talk because once I decided to take this serious and get my mindset around this, like exactly what you're talking about, and pardon my language, but I say fuck your excuses. That I don't give myself an excuse anymore, because the reason that I put myself in this situation was I made excuses every day to not do this or to eat this or not eat that. And you got to get your mind wrapped around that. If you want to be an elite version of yourself, you can't make excuses anymore. You do the work and shut up. So that's the way I live my life now. Thanks, Coach Walker. That was a good talk.
Hey, yeah.
Appreciate that, Dane. Dane definitely lives that. Like every time that he could have it, because this guy owns his own business, guys. And every time that he could have an excuse to not go hit the gym because he's not getting off work till 6 or 7 o'clock at night, he doesn't never use it. And he goes in and crushes his workout. Every time he has an excuse, like he travels a lot. He was just at a wedding out of town. Like he went to World of Fun with the kids, stayed on point the entire time, guys. So like for him to say that, it's the truth. Because anytime that we can give ourselves those excuses and we don't, we win credibility with ourselves. And that's the most important person to have credibility with. Anytime you don't do it and you said that you were, you lost credibility with yourself. And obviously that's the worst person to lose credibility with. See, we're so wrapped up about making others feel right about us that we don't make ourselves feel right about us. And once you can flip that switch, you're not only going to show up for those people that you said you were going to, but you're going to show up for yourself. And you're going to put yourself as the most important. And then it's going to bleed into the rest of your life.
So
Andrew. Who said that? Sarah?
me, Sarah.
I'll go Sarah and then Angela. I got you, buddy.
One thing that I've been learning recently is that, and this is kind of a touchy subject for me, is I always was like, why can't I do this? Why can't I like lock in and dial in and get this done? And a lot of it is I'm learning now is a mental health thing. And so people with ADHD, ADD, like hypersensitivity things, it's going to be harder to lock in. It's going to be harder. Sorry, my heart's racing even talking about this right now.
Good.
I have been struggling for a while, and I'm just now learning and working with somebody for the diagnosis of ADHD, and it's helped me knowing that I have this, or knowing that this is what's causing it, is helping me to be able to lock in more, because then I find different ways around different things, like different ways to do things. So people with ADHD, I've found that like we function better later in the day. It's harder for us to do things in the morning, but I would rather do things in the morning so I can relax later in the day, so my brain isn't so crazy. So talking about no excuses, no excuses, no excuses. If you cannot figure out why, like, why can't I do this? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do this? It's okay. There is a way to figure out, like, to get around it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. At the end of the day, I mean, you're basically just, because at the end of the day, you got to figure out what works best for you, right? Like we can sit here and help you all the way to as much as we can, right? But at the end of the day, it really comes down to what works best for you, right? We give you the map, and you got to take the steps. So While you said like there's times where I can't figure it out, I can't figure it out, you then again said I can figure it out and you can do it, and you're telling everybody else that they can do it too.
Yeah.
So that no excuse mentality, you're living it.
Yes, and as I can't even like figure out the words that I need to say.
I totally feel you on this, girl, though. Seriously.
Yeah.
You're not
It's-
alone. I get it.
It is very, very hard.
Sarah,
And
you know what the beautiful thing is?
what?
Where you started at was with self-awareness.
Yeah.
You opened your eyes and you paid attention to what you was going through, and then you made the solution was to figure it out and get better at it, not to wallow in it, which is what we are trying to lead you all not to do anymore, right? Let's be honest about it. Everybody on this call, including all the coaches, have been one thing, and all of us have been consistent, right? We don't need to teach y'all how to be consistent. We don't need to coach you on consistency. What we need to coach you on is your focus of consistency. You were focused on consistently not engaging in the things that's going to help you. You consistently chose to drink. You consistently chose to oversleep. You consistently chose not to work out. You consistently chose to get out of shape. So the shift in focus and in consistency is what you just described. You see what I'm saying? So that's a great thing. So I'm proud of you. And
what?
I said I thoroughly enjoy coaching you.
Thank you. I just want like other people to be aware, because hearing this before, like since I've been in this program for over a year now, like I've heard some of these same things before, and before it was like I almost took it personally, because it was like, well, you say I should have no excuses and I should do this, but I can't. Why can't I do this? There is hope for other people if you feel like that, just because it is freaking hard, but with the guidance from you guys, it's been a lot easier.
That's awesome. Yeah, I appreciate it, Sarah. You've come a long way, girl. Like, it's crazy watching you.
Well, I've come a long way, and I've fallen backwards, and I've stepped up again, and mentally have moved forward a lot.
We all do that because if you play the game long enough, you're gonna lose. But the goal is to keep playing the game, right? Right. Like that's all it comes down to. No excuses doesn't mean that you never lose. Like I lose all the time. I have that extra cookie I shouldn't have had. I slept in an extra hour and said, like, we're not robots. It's okay. But I'm not gonna tell myself like, oh, it's cool. I'm gonna, I'll do that again tomorrow. Or like the goal is obviously get to the point where those slip-ups become hardly anything, right? So, and nobody's perfect here. So let's go. Angela, you got your hand up. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just say we're twinning. I feel like I'm looking at myself.
Yeah, girl, you're looking good in that red.
Your arms might even be bigger than Matt's.
I don't know, man. Come on now. Come on now.
Muscles are even sore from lifting.
She got her better abs than me. I'll give her that. I've seen her abs. All right, Angelo, what's up, brother?
All right. First of all, Sarah, missed you. Glad to see you.
You too.
And thanks for sharing that, because a lot of people hesitate to share, right? What I was going to say is with the clients I work with in my clinic is vision boarding, writing down the plan. I know we do our spreadsheets. I know that when we signed up, we all had a goal in mind. But what's been working for me past 2 months, and Matt will attest, I struggled. I fell way back. I was back up to 220 plus. Was writing down where I wanted to be and when. And it's been helping me keep on track because it's more accountability. I'm a very visual person. So if I see it in front of me, I don't know if you see the board behind me, but that is my planning board because I'm doing the Dopey Challenge in January in Florida. So I had to step up my game. So for me, and if it helps for other people, I hope, having it written down somewhere on your fridge, on your bathroom mirror, somewhere, what your end goal is, where you want to be, because it's also a motivator.
I will say, with anyone who struggles with ADHD also, deadlines are a big thing, and we do better the closer it gets to a deadline. So, and I was going to tell Coach E this because I just realized this, but if my coach sets a deadline for me that I have to have something done by this specific time, like you have to do this by this time, I'm going to do it. Versus, well, you get it done this week, we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? So that visual and that discipline of a deadline, that also helps.
Being able to recognize that is a big thing too, because it's a helpful tool in the communication between you and your coach to be able to express that to him, you know?
That was my
Like,
first time expressing that to him while we're here.
Yep.
Is that why Walker waited till today to get his presentation done? You got ADHD, Walker?
Come on now, don't put me on blast.
I caught you, man. You call yourself out.
I did.
He didn't want to eat the frog.
Dang,
I ate the frog this morning. Now to be fair, I have notes in my phone that are what I was going to talk about in each PowerPoint slide. I just don't throw it in there. I'll overthink it. I'll keep going in and changing it, all that stuff, you know.
Yeah, that's how Coach E does it too, right? You just
do what? Just throw it in my phone?
No, like take a long time, or you overthink the presentation sometimes. You're like, this is gonna be like 20 slides long.
I redo it like 4 times. Once I start writing, I have to stop myself from writing, and then I go back and read, and I'm like, oh, that's too much. I don't need that much.
Here's something cool I want to do that I literally just thought of. So whatever coach presents for the month, I want you guys to award a client or member of the month in your clientele, just somebody that's been standing out to you, and then I'm going to give them a $25 gift certificate to Amazon, just to pump them up a little bit. So Walker, I know I'm putting you on the spot, buddy. This is what I do. I just
for those on the call though, right?
Yeah, somebody that's on the call, ideally going forward. You know, we're obviously not going to know that, but I want to do this every time we do one of these now, just so we can recognize, those that are.
I got this. All right. Hopefully I don't step on anybody's toes. I love all you guys, but I'm going to give a little shout out to Jessica. So I had shared this with some of the coaches and Matt earlier this week, but when Jessica and I were working together, one of her biggest things that she was most worried about was her upcoming fitness testing for the military. And so it's the typical 1.5 mile run, push-ups and the sit-ups. And so we had, in the last 4 weeks, really shifted gears as far as what we were doing training-wise to kind of set her up for that. And it required a lot, right? She was running a couple days a week and still lifting a few days a week, and having to travel for work. She was in Massachusetts for like 2 weeks, or Mississippi, one of the two. I can't quite remember, Jessica, you might have to fill me in. But either way, right, had to travel and be away from home for 2 weeks and still keep her diet on point, and managed to do all those things and come back. And although very nervous about her test, passed it with flying colors. She beat her goal on her run by 30 seconds and exceeded both the standards for both her push-ups and her sit-ups. So hit all of her targets for her training. And that was basically with taking 4 weeks of training and rolling with it hard and committing herself to it. So I'm gonna give a shout out to Jessica.
All right, Jessica, where's she at? She even on here?
She's probably not. I saw her just a second ago. Where'd she go?
No, you gotta pick somebody else. She's not.
Oh dang, she really might have.
She just missed
Oh
your big
dang,
speech
she
about
literally
it.
just was. I saw her whale on there.
No, that's cool.
Dang, that's all right.
We'll pick her.
Okay,
They
so
don't have to be
second
on here.
dibs.
No, they don't have to be on here. It's cool. I appreciate that though. I'll send that to her email later tonight. But let her know, like,
She was. I saw her whale on there like literally 10 seconds ago.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. Okay.
You
I'll
got,
shoot her a
you got
message.
bored with your presentation.
Yeah, she said, I'm out of here.
All right, who else got
We're
questions
definitely-
about any of the program, anything they want to share, wins, struggles, anything?
I actually got a shout out for, I've been looking at all my clients that are on here. First of all, thank you for being on here. And I don't have anything negative to say about any of my clients that are on here. Sarah, you've been consistent for the longest because I've had you the longest. Hannah, you're in Norway. I know it's early as heck there. We're 7 hours ahead of us, but you're already on the right track. Greg, when I talk to you, you do a good job, man. I love talking to you. You're motivated. You, Maurice, and Juan. Juan is crazy. I'm tell y'all that now. Juan sends me the funniest gym selfies.
Hoochie Daddy short season.
And I have one on here. Maurice has been with me for a while. Maurice, you killing it. We finna get them abs you've been wanting. And Jillian, she sleeps kind of like I do, Matt. She don't get no sleep, but she don't make no excuses for getting shit done. She get it done. And Angela, yep, you thought I would go call on you today after we talked yesterday. I talked to her on the phone for 2 hours the other day. That woman is stronger than a lot of people realize. So good shit. I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of you. You broke a cycle that you didn't think you was gonna break. So good job.
Awesome. I love it. Love seeing everybody winning. Everybody that's on here, you guys are already ahead of the game. We got, what, 80 something clients. We got about roughly 30 on here. So almost half, which is great for people to show up to these. So cool. That's really all I got. If nobody else has any questions, guys, we're gonna get off and let people get back to their evenings, kids and all that fun stuff. So anybody got anything before we take off?
Thanks for being on, guys. Thanks for listening and engaging.
Kylie, you too.
Later.
I didn't see your name till last. You're doing amazing too, especially for just starting.
All right. When we get off, everybody has to be flexing. Let's go.